Good evening. Tonight we are hosting the Principal Secretary, State Department for East African Community, that is PS Abdi Dubat, who joins us on set. Let's talk about the East African community and how the region is faring so far. Thank you very much. PS, karibu sana.
Asante sana, John.
Probably begin with telling us the state of affairs of the East African community as is.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, John. The East African Community is a regional intergovernmental organization that comprises 8 partner states. The Republic of Kenya, the Republic of Uganda, the United Republic of Tanzania, the Republic of South Sudan, the Republic of Burundi, the Republic of Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Federal Republic of Somalia. It came into being in 2000 after the ratification of the treaty by the founding partner states, which is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and subsequently expanded until we admitted Somalia last year. It has a population of around 320 million people, and it has a GDP of around $320 billion. So it's a huge market, and that is the space that EAC is. We have 4 pillars of integration that we aspire to achieve. That is the customs union, the common market, the monetary union, and ultimately the political federation. And the community, of course, has an institutional structure. It has its governance structure, and the treaty for the establishment of the EAC becomes the ultimate governing instrument of the community. We've set for ourselves different institutions of the community to help us achieve these pillars of integration. So we've done well in the customs union. We are doing very well. There has been challenges in moving a bit faster in the space of the common market and the space of the monetary union and ultimately the political federation. But we are making progress. I think currently we are happy with the progress. It's been 24 years, and despite the challenges, I think we can all say that the community is strong, it is headed well, and it just requires a bit of a push, and we'll get there. The East African community is the fastest integrated regional economic community in Africa, so that speaks volumes.
What is the community doing to enhance the trade opportunities and the big economic opportunities that exist within the region, probably to even go beyond the 320 billion that you're mentioning?
The economic integration is such a way that we are trying to lay foundations so that we can move systematically in our economic integration process. We've started with the customs union. That's why I said that we're very happy on the space of the customs union. We are a single customs territory, meaning that we are actually managed by a single East African Customs Management Act. Clearance of goods and the movement of goods within the transit corridors is very fast. We've put in place mechanisms and measures to ensure that trade within the EAC moves fast. However, we are not going as well as we would have liked to. We are operating at around 25% intra-EAC trade. Our plan and our ambition is to move that to 50% in a few years. So there is a lot of potential in that space.
The low-hanging fruits, PS, for a regional bloc like this that has existed for some years, of course, is trade. But you're saying intra-trade, intra-EAC trade is at 25%. Do you think that's a slow pace? What is the problem?
Well, there are a lot of things that hinder the intra-EAC trade, and the biggest is non-tariff barriers. Despite the fact that we have envisioned a space where there's free movement of people, goods, and services, we have had situations where non-tariff barriers have come to play to hinder that trade. And as a region, we have identified non-tariff barriers as one of an impediment and a challenge that is hindering intra-EAC trade. We have come up with regional mechanisms for monitoring and elimination of these non-tariff barriers. We have a non-tariff barrier elimination act currently, so we actually have a law and a mechanism for monitoring these non-tariff barriers. It's very robust. We are making progress, and we have institutional mechanisms for doing that under a sectoral council make sure that we always discuss the issues of non-tariff barriers. We have conversations about what is causing these non-tariff barriers and ensuring that partner states are made to eliminate those barriers. But the nature of non-tariff barriers is that you remove and eliminate this one, another one pops up tomorrow. So that is one of the reasons that is hindering our trade.
Hold that thought on peace and security, because I want us to speak about it. But still coming back to the issue of trade, other than what member countries are doing to address the issue of non-tariff barriers, and you mentioned about bilateral engagements with friendly nations, obviously, to deal with some of these things, how is your department, how is the East African community addressing simmering tensions within the ranks of its members because of, trade tiffs or stuff like that?
Well, when it comes to issues of trade, as I said, we have mechanisms. We have regional mechanisms of ensuring that we monitor and we eliminate, especially non-tariff barriers. When it comes to other trade matters, we also have mechanisms within the region that we constantly discuss these issues and we eliminate them. As I said, we are a single customs territory. We have a common external tariff, which is a 4-band tariff. It gives us rules with respect to what goods and commodities can enjoy preferential tariffs within the EAC, and how do we impose tariffs on the goods, whether they're finished or the raw materials that are coming into the EAC. We have rules of origin that also tell us, even when you manufacture goods here, for them to have preferential treatment within the EAC, they must be originating from the country, and there are mechanisms, of course, that we want to ensure. So, of course, sometimes the issues that arise as to this product is being banned, for instance, manufactured in Kenya, that is originating, and all the components are originating from Kenya, but you find that we can't cross over and sell them in another country because they're saying that they're disputing whether these goods are originating. We have regional mechanisms to ensure that this is sorted out. Sometimes we have we form a regional team to come and do a verification. Are these materials being used to assemble or to produce this product originating from the country? And on many occasions, we have resolved those issues and we have allowed trade to flow. So we have mechanisms within the region. But again, bilaterally, because we are friends, we are neighbors, we also engage each other on small items. The other day, the United Republic of Tanzania had an issue with our tea, and they had stopped trading of our tea. Myself, together with my counterpart, the PS for Trade, traveled to Tanzania and had a conversation with our partners and our colleagues in the United Republic of Tanzania, and we resolved that issue. So this is the nature of business. Something arises, and ours is to make sure that we monitor the flow of business, and we ensure that it's not hampered. Yeah. Kenya is the largest beneficiary of the intra-EAC trade, 35%. Yes, so we are the largest businessman in the region, and therefore we have to ensure that we have our eyes open all the time. We monitor the situation. We are constantly engaging other stakeholders. The private sector is always open to have conversations with us, and we make sure that when it comes to matters trade, our interest is protected.
One of the pillars of the East African community, just like you mentioned, is the political pillar, the political confederation. How are you dealing with the issues of peace and stability that you had reference to? That is internally for some of the member states, and sometimes it rolls over to neighbors. For example, we are dealing with a situation with Rwanda, Burundi, Rwanda, DRC, and how you are addressing it within the larger context.
Okay. Peace and security basically is anchored in the treaty for the establishment of EAC. The treaty itself anticipates that issues of peace and security and stability within the region, under Article 124, partner states must be able to have these conversations. And to actualize this, we have protocols on peace and security that we've set up for ourselves, and it gives us a framework within which we operate. Under this peace and security protocols, we have many mechanisms that we've put in place. For instance, conflict management, prevention and resolution mechanisms that gives us how we are able to look at issues of conflict. The idea is that we identify, we detect, we manage, and we resolve these conflicts amongst and within ourselves. And I think we've done very well. In the area of peace and security, we also have very many other instruments that we use. We have, when it comes to small arms and light weapons, we have a policy on that. We have measures to detect, to prevent and to combat cybercrime. We have measures to detect and combat illegal movements and illegal immigration and human trafficking. We have protocols on defense, where we have our defense and armed forces collaborating, and they have joint exercises amongst and joint trainings within the communities. If you go to our National Defense University here, where you will think that we are only training our Kenya Defense Forces, you'll be shocked that you find brothers and sisters from all the partners in EAC are actually training together with our colleagues here. And we have joint exercises that we call Ushirikiano Imara. If it comes to the areas of the police itself, we have a lot of cooperation at that level as well. We have a lot of cross-border operations, cross-border patrols, exchange of criminal information, and intelligence. And as a result, we have been able to combat a lot of security issues. In the issues of peace, we say that as a community, we have to look at peace and we have to maintain peace. And peace is a prerequisite for socio-economic development. And the treaty itself basically recognizes that.
You've referenced, cross-border issues that probably need the attention of the East African community. But very quickly, what are you doing to address some of these things? For example, we have a new nightmare called climate change affecting the entire world. Being probably one of the biggest cross-border issues that is confronting the modern world, what are you doing to deal with it?
Issues of cross-border, let me look at them from a point of migration, from a point of environment and climate change, and transboundary resources. If you look at, for instance, I was in Turkana 2 weeks ago, and we were inspecting development projects there, and the border that we have with South Sudan, Nadapal, Nakadok. You'll find that the county of Turkana borders 3 countries. It borders Uganda, it borders South Sudan, and it borders Ethiopia. And the challenges in that region, in that county, are basically because of the nomadic nature of the people who live the Turkana. And these people are out looking for pasture and resources. And climate change plays a significant role in the movement of these people, because a pastoralist moves to look for pasture and water for the animals. And to the extent that where they're staying is dry, they'll have to move. So we have to put in place mechanisms to ensure that these people are protected and that they're able to access these resources, because they are also regional resources. And to that end, we have bilateral arrangements with the Republic of Uganda. And I think in a month or even less than a month time, His Excellency the President himself will be visiting the Republic of Uganda, and we are going to have a joint head of states meeting to discuss these issues of resource sharing and movement of people. We've had challenges. Some of our Turkana herders crossed over to Uganda, and they were arrested and court-martialed and are serving jail sentences. And we are pursuing the release of these prisoners as a country. And they are victims, again, of this climate change. Of course, the allegations are that they were armed in the territory of the Republic of Uganda. And these are issues that we are discussing with Uganda. When it comes to borders, again, we have a process that is ongoing. That is, it's an EU border program, within the EU border program, but we are doing it, at the level of EAC. We are doing demarcation, delimitation, and the verification of our borders, where we are doing it together with South Sudan, we are doing it together with Uganda. And this demarcation and delimitation of these borders helps us because it brings peace within the communities, because you'll find that the communities that are living in that tri-junction, for instance, are the same people, the Ateker community. They speak the same language. You have the Turkanas on this side, you have the Karamajong on this side, and then you have the Toposas in South Sudan. They are the same people. It's just the border that has divided them. They speak the same language, they have the same culture, and they have the same nomadic lifestyle.
What is the EAC doing to strengthen its pillars of governance and democracy within member states?
First, we have constant dialogue amongst ourselves and at a regional level. And we involve, the issues of good governance, issues that cannot be done only by the partner states themselves and the community. We have to expand and involve everybody. There are players in that space. We have the civil society, we have other actors, and in fact everybody, including the normal citizenry, have to be involved in these conversations. And we have dialogues, we have seminars, we have conversations generally about the issues of good governance. We have a good governance policy. And that is again being validated, and we should be able to complete it soon. We want to have protocol on good governance, again that is a draft, and we're having we are moving that we are fast tracking the amendments to that draft, so that we can take into consideration what the feelings are for each of the partner states, and we have that framework that will guide us on good governance.
You were in the chambers last week when His Excellency the President was addressing the members of IALA, and there's that one thing about strengthening governance within the EAC Secretariat. I don't know what member states are doing, and particularly Kenya, now that they have the tenure of 5 years for the Secretary General EAC, strengthening governance within that institution. As you strengthen governance within member states, what is being done to the institution to strengthen governance?
Well, the East African Secretariat is an organ and the executive of the EAC, and it is oversighted by the Council, which is the policy organ. And the Council of Ministers are basically the ministers for EAC, for the partner states, and they give policy direction on the EAC. So everything to do with whether it is in terms of employment and staff rules, whether it is the financial rules, whether it is audit, employment and creation of institutions, all that is covered by the Council. And the Council has a mechanism for monitoring, for evaluation, and for correcting. And because the Council does meet regularly. And the Council also has, created an institution. Like, for instance, under the Council, we have the PSS, a coordination committee of the principal secretaries, which is the technical arm that basically advises the Council and also implements the directives and the directives given by the summit. And then we also have, other sectoral committees and technical people that we work with to ensure that we monitor. So I'm not worried in whether it comes to issues of governance of the community, because the community is a rules-based community. Everything is governed by some framework, so there's nothing that is left to chance. There is the right way of doing everything, and we are always discussing, all of us, and we have to be in agreement, all of us. So where the problems, of course, challenges will always be there. Where there are challenges, we also have mechanisms of discussing to ensure that we correct them.
Lastly, Pierre, so that we ensure that you carry everybody along in the agenda of the East African community and integration, for that matter. The youth are a critical cog in issues of integration. And there's also the marginalized community. Some of them you mentioned are within the borders. What are you doing to bring these groups on board to carry along the agenda of the East African community?
We have what we call simplified trade regime. In this simplified trade regime, the EAC has identified, again, these cross-border traders, micro and small size, small enterprises, which are, again, majorly these marginalized youth and women. And what they do is that they have very small items that they sell and small value. But because they do not understand the framework of trade, especially regional and international trade, you will find that they will be going to avoid the official borders, into Panya routes, to go cross over into Uganda so they can sell these small items and they don't understand. To them, they will probably be subjected to some sort of duties and taxes and levies and all sorts of harassments and barriers at these borders, and the whole the ecosystem is a bit very confusing for them. So we are trying to sensitize them and teach them that they are able to do formal trade, even with those small goods that they're doing, pass through these borders, and they will be facilitated to pass through the borders at no cost. So the simplified trade regime basically allows some listed products and goods and services that and when you go to the borders, you'll find that actually they're displayed, and you're able to know what products can you sell under the simplified trade regime. And most of the items, the agricultural produce and small things that our women and youth sell in the cross-border are actually included there.
Absolutely. That camera, 1 minute to do your last word. Yes.
The East African community is a market that is available to us. It's a big market. It has, as I had said earlier, 320 million people. The potential in this community is huge. I would like to urge Kenyans to take advantage of the opportunities available in the EAC, so that we're able to expand trade, we're able to expand our exports, and as a result grow our GDP and improve the lives and livelihoods of our people. We have priorities as EAC. We want to increase the intra-EAC trade. We want to ensure that we eliminate non-tariff barriers. We want to make sure that we work on frameworks and harmonizing our policies. As countries, we want to grow the diplomatic relations with our partner states, so that we find peaceful ways of resolving any of the conflicts or any disputes, whether they're trade or otherwise, so that we remove all barriers for our people. They are able to move freely within the EAC, and they're able to live within the EAC, to work within the EAC, and be able to benefit from this integration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PS Abdi Dubat, the PS State Department for EAC, and thank you for your time.
Asante sana, John. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
Asante.
And we wish you a wonderful Ramadan.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
That's how we put a cap on Prime Edition tonight. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you. Good night.